I used to say I'm not a morning person, that I just had a bad sleep schedule, but that wasn't true. My sleep wasn't bad, it just wasn't built. I'd stay up later than I said I would, wake up tired, tell myself I'd fix it that night. I would go to sleep earlier and wake up even earlier, then do the exact same thing. I remember one night I was laying in bed, tired, eyes heavy, and I grabbed my phone and listened to another hour of my audiobook, for no reason. This wasn't just a discipline problem. This was also a system problem. So I stopped trying to sleep better and started building a system that actually made bad sleep harder and making good sleep easier. So I had a few goals for my experiment to help me go from waking up at 10 to 11 to waking up around 6 to 7. Some of it worked immediately, and some of it exposed a bigger problem I didn't expect initially. But it also fixed my sleep, and I'll walk you through exactly what I changed. I'm Patrick. Thanks for watching. Let's get into it. Section 1. Why my sleep was broken. The problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do. Everyone knows the basics. Go to bed earlier, wake up earlier. Don't be on your phone. I just didn't do it because my environment made it easy not to. Bright lights in the evening, screen blasting at max brightness everywhere. No real cutoff points. So even when I was tired, my brain didn't think it was time to sleep, and I'd push it off and delay it every night. Section 2. The lighting system. This was the biggest change. I made my environment tell my brain when it was night, not me. I set all my lights, I got Govee lights on Amazon, to turn red about 3 to 4 hours before I would go to bed, automatically. All automated, no thinking, no effort, just happens. Because bright white lights at night kills your melatonin production. So if the room is fully lit at 11 p.m., your brain still thinks it's daytime. But if you have the red lights go on a couple hours before bed, your brain starts producing melatonin because it takes a couple of hours for it to make enough to make you tired. Once I switched to the red lights, I started getting tired earlier, without forcing it. Section 3. Blue light on your phone. Same idea. I set my phone using the shortcut automation on iPhone to turn fully red at night. It's the color filter, so automatically my screen goes red, even if I'm on it or not on it. I'm not waking my brain up. I also stopped using anything that didn't have this. So, all my screens did, but if you had like an old TV, I remember for this one it wouldn't go red because it was just older, but for my monitor and stuff, this all just connects to my MacBook and will go red as well. So I have the same automation on all my devices. Anything like that. If it didn't have the red filter, I just didn't use it at nighttime. And yeah, that was annoying at first, but eventually you'll just get used to using your laptop or just your phone in the evening. Ideally, they say you shouldn't even use any electronics, like 1 to 2 hours before bed. I'm sure you've heard this, but realistically, like no one's really doing that, right? Section 4. How to flip your sleep schedule. So I initially made the mistake of just trying to jump right away to my desired wake up time. So instead of going incrementally, I was like, well, maybe I'll just pull an all-nighter, or maybe I'll just wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. and just go from there and not sleep so then I can do it. But this actually doesn't work very well, and it's not the most effective way to do it. So you're still going to be really tired, and you may do it for a couple of days, but it's the systems and the habits that are keeping you up. So even though I did this for a couple of days, and I woke up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. for different things like a fishing trip, right? I would still stay up late because my habits were to stay up late, and everything that's keeping you up late is a system that you're just not aware of. The bright lights on my phone, the bright lights in my house, my monitor, all this stuff was killing my melatonin production. So even though I was completely sleep deprived, I was still staying up late because that's when my natural circadian rhythm was set to. So then eventually I figured out the slow way is usually the fast way. Everywhere you see online it says, well, just move it forward like 15 minutes earlier each night. That's what I did. I moved it earlier 15 minutes each night and each morning. I would wake up 15 minutes earlier. That's it. So what I would do is I would set my alarm 15 minutes earlier every day, and then I have a Govee light in my room as well, so I would set that to automatically turn on 15 minutes earlier each day as well. So I'm getting hit with light right when I'm up, right when the alarm goes off. And yeah, some days I was tired, that's part of it. But I aimed for at least 6 to 7 hours of actual sleep every night. Not just time in bed, and over time, my body caught up. And if you're like me, who always is just like, well, I'm just like a night person, I'm not a morning person, I can't fall asleep was my biggest thing. I couldn't fall asleep at like midnight or at like 1 a.m. because I was so used to going to bed at like 2 to 3 a.m. every night and then waking up later that this is what my body got used to. So what I found for this is you got to accumulate a little bit of sleep debt. So this is basically if your body needs 7 hours of sleep to feel good during the day, you give it like 6 hours, like 1 hour less than what you normally need to feel good. And then over a week, if you did this, you'd be like 7 hours in debt. I don't suggest you go like that far, maybe just like a couple hours is better. But going into sleep debt, you 100% will be able to fall asleep earlier if you do the rest of the stuff I'm telling you. Section 5, the in-bed system. This is where I used to mess up the most. I'd say I'm going to bed, then I'd sit on my phone for a couple hours there. Then I would stay up listening to audiobooks. So I separated it. In-bed time and lights out time. So I would get in bed 1 to 2 hours before sleep, lights already dimmed on red mode. Then at a set time, the lights would automatically turn off. So this is why the Gobi lights are huge for this whole system, but no decisions. I just lay there and listen to an audiobook. I would set a timer on it so it was actually off, so I was in the dark, just listening to it, and it would just turn off at like half an hour, and just shuts off on its own. Most nights, I go to sleep like a couple minutes after it ends. But the biggest thing is to not like extend it, right? And stay up later, whether this be like a podcast you're listening to or anything like this. I try to not make it like work related or like anything self-improvement because I find that just like a little too like tactical or like stimulating for my brain, and I'm just thinking about like how to apply it to myself versus like just like a book about like something random, right? Helps me to just kind of turn off my brain. Section 6, fixing the mornings. So obviously sleep starts at nighttime before the morning, because if you go to bed at the wrong time, it's going to be very hard in the morning, no matter how motivated you are to get up at like 5 a.m., let's say. I touched on one of the points earlier, having the bright light go on right away when I'm waking up to like a sunlight temperature, like 3200 Kelvins is what I have mine set to. So anything like this is pretty good. And then I move as soon as I wake up. So I go and get some water, coffee immediately as I get out of bed. So the way I do this to make it as easy as possible is I have a little QR code next to my coffee maker, and then I use the app called Alarm Me on my phone for my alarm. So what happens is the alarm doesn't go off until you go and scan the QR code. So it forces me to get out of bed to have to turn off my alarm, which, now moving, the bright lights from outside and stuff are hitting you. So it's going to make it that much harder to go back to sleep. And I know if I do go back to sleep, I'm probably not going to sleep very well because you already have the lights hitting you, your cortisol is spiking. So it's going to be that much harder to get any sleep. And even if you do fall asleep, it's not going to be good quality sleep. So it's like really no point in doing it. Then I'll either go to my laptop and just start working right away, or go to the couch and start working on my laptop there with the coffee and water. So the most important part, do not stay in bed wherever you do. If you stay in bed, you're already halfway back to sleep. You need to make sure you're getting out of bed, getting some water right away, and waking yourself up with the light. Section 7, remove any options to stay up late. So this was the part that I didn't expect, but when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I removed the options to stay up late. So it's like screen time limits, blocking apps, removing distractions. Because if there's an option there, you'll take it. Not every night, maybe you'll have some discipline when you start off, but with enough time, you'll break the system. So what I do is for everything else, my laptops and stuff, and my phone for Google or anything I would use for work or learning stuff. So turn off all your devices, set them up with a screen time limit to make sure that they automatically stop and the schedule turns on every day at 2 hours before or an hour before you want to actually be in bed. And then what I do is I have my audiobook apps like Spotify where you can like listen to podcasts, books, whatever, go off like right when I want to be sleeping. So this way I can be in bed in the dark listening to something for an hour, which still makes me like want to do it because you're still getting like a little bit of that dopamine from it. But I'm not getting hit with any of the lights or anything, so my brain is able to produce the melatonin and help me sleep easier. The biggest shift wasn't sleeping earlier, it was this. I stopped trusting how I felt that night. Because at night, you always negotiate with yourself. One more video, 10 more minutes, and that turns into an hour or even longer sometimes. So instead, I trusted the system. Changed the lights to red. Set up the limits on my phone. Everything pushes me towards sleep at the time I've chosen. And I just follow it. I still mess up sometimes. Like, if I need the limits off for something, because I need to do like a little more work or get a video out or do some client work, I'll randomly stay up later than I planned because sometimes things go wrong. This is natural. And I've actually found personally that when I do not follow the system, I end up, going to bed later, waking up later. So it's 100% correlated with me not following the system. And you're naturally going to try to find the path of least resistance. You're going to try to find a way to break the system. This is normal. So you need to keep switching the system. Keep making adjustments to make it you proof essentially, so you can stick to it. You want to make it as hard to not stick to the system as possible. Make doing the system, sticking to the plan to wake up at the time you want, going to bed at the time you want, the easiest path. So for me, that was just not being able to search stuff up on my phone or use my phone. If there's nothing else for me to do on my phone, no more stimulation, I would just go to bed because it's just boring to do nothing, right? Once your sleep schedule is actually working, you'll notice when it's not. So next video, I'm going to take this further. I'm actually going to remove all the limits for a week and all the lights and everything. No blockers, no restrictions, and see how bad it actually gets. And see how my sleep schedules change. And see how bad it actually gets. So this is going to be an experiment to see how long it takes to actually break the system. And then on top of this, and then I'm going to make another video of just starting from scratch. Like wiping out my sleep schedule back to a bad time. And then my path of how I'm going to consistently bring it back to where I want to. So you can see how to do it day to day, how the hours change, what specific things I did, what problems I had. And then maybe you could take some of this and it'll work for you. Remember, take consistent action on your main thing and don't stop. Peace.